9 years ago, I was a complete spendaholic. I was completely caught up in a cycle of buying things to make myself feel good, keeping up with appearances, and having to have the latest thing. And I was getting myself into serious credit card debt while I was doing that. It took a total reframe of which purchases really added value to my life and which were actually draining my money away to go from being tens of thousands in debt and constantly perpetuating that debt cycle by spending on my credit card before I had made the money, to getting ahead of the curve and actually growing my wealth to what it is today. I heard someone say recently that there is no point in trying to start a good habit before you fix your bad habit. It's like trying to fill up a bucket that has a leak in it. You need to fix the leak first and then fill up your bucket. In today's video, I'm going to de-influence you from spending your hard-earned cash on things that are a complete waste of your money. In case you're new here, I'm Dahlia. I worked in finance in London for many years before quitting to start my own business. Now I'm here every week dropping life-changing advice to help people just like you get on top of your finances. Let's go. The first thing that I believe is a complete waste of money and you'll never catch me getting is a brand new car. Let's admit it, the only reason that anyone buys a fancy car is so that other people will think that they've made it. How much of your pleasure actually comes from sitting inside the car as opposed to having people comment on how nice your car is? A brand new car loses 40% of its value in 3 years. The average spend on a new car in the UK is £30,000, and the majority of people buy these on finance because they can't afford the upfront cost of this in the first place. A new £30,000 car in the UK typically loses 50 to 60% of its value over 3 years, resulting in a depreciation loss of about £15,000 to £18,000. The biggest drop happens in the first year, with 15 to 35% of the car's value going down. And after 3 years, the car is worth roughly only 50 to 60% of its original price. Then there's the cost of running the car. According to TfL, the annual cost of running a car in the UK is £3,500, and even more if you live in London. Add these all up and that new car is costing you over £10,000 a year, and that's if you've paid cash up front, which most people don't. Typical financing on a new car costs 6 to 11%, and let's say even if you're at the low end of this, in 5 years' time, you're going to have paid back about £5,000 of interest, and your car is worth only 1/3 of what it was at the beginning. But I'm not just bringing you problems, I'm bringing you solutions. So there are 2 solutions to this if you need a new car. You can either buy a second-hand car. If it's 5 years old, you're only paying 30% of the brand new cost, and it will still be in great condition. Or you can lease a car. You can have a long-term lease on a car that costs on average in the UK from £150 a month for a small car to £300 for a medium-sized car. Then you don't need to worry about depreciation, insurance, interest, and you can upgrade it every year if you want to. The next thing you will never catch me buying anymore are designer clothes and accessories at full price. When I worked in my corporate job, I was totally stuck in a cycle of online shopping for all the latest designer bags and shoes just to make myself feel better. And did those things make me feel better? Temporarily, yes, but they didn't solve the problem, which was that I was unhappy in my job. Luxury clothes and accessories covered in logos aren't necessarily better quality than the cheaper alternatives. So many high-end brands use fake leather in their bags and polyester in their clothes these days. So if it isn't the quality, why are you really buying these things? Luxury is the tax that you pay for caring what people think. A classic middle-class trap is buying designer to make it look to other people like you've made it. And it is one of the biggest wealth traps, because looking rich and being rich are 2 completely different things. There is also no reason these days, if you still want designer goods, to pay full price for brand new designer items when websites like Vinted and Vestiaire Collective in the UK are full of people trying to sell their nearly new designer goods, often with the tag still on. The next time that you really want something designer, look on websites like these first, and you will find amazing items for as little as 10% of the new cost. Now let's get onto your phone. Getting the latest phone every year is a scam. At the time of filming this, the latest iPhone 17 costs £1,100 for the Pro model, and that's just for the phone, forgetting the service provider that you need alongside it. Every year they bring out a new phone that only has marginally better features and just a slightly better camera. The tiniest incremental increase in speed, and for what? Think about it. What are you really using your phone for? If, like most of us, it's to chat to people, use your banking apps, take a few little snaps of your latte, there is literally nothing that you need the latest iPhone for. From the 14 Pro model to the current 17 Pro at the time I'm filming this, did you know that 95% of the features are exactly the same? Last year, I needed to upgrade my phone because my old 12 stopped working, and after a lot of research, I settled on the 14 Pro model, which was already a huge upgrade. I bought this refurbished in brand new condition. It cost me £400 as opposed to the latest iPhone at £1,100. And to add to that, just a cheap SIM card at less than £10 a month. You will never catch me buying a brand new iPhone on a 24-month contract. Which brings me on to full price items. One thing you will rarely catch me doing is buying something new at the full price. There are discount codes and savings opportunities from everything I need in my day-to-day life, whether that is getting a 5% discount on Amazon for subscribing to regular orders of household things like soap and toilet paper, to looking online using Google Lens to find the same product for cheaper on another site. There are ways to get whatever you need for less money if you just spend an extra 5 minutes looking for it. Buying things at full price is the cost of convenience, and if you do need to buy something full price, do it using a card that gives you either cashback or points that you can use towards future travel, for example. I use my trusty British Airways American Express card for most purchases, as it gives me frequent flyer points that I can then cash in for cheap flights and upgrades. I travel all around the world really cheaply doing this. I'll give you the link in my description box below if you want to sign up to a card like this. Which brings me on to sales. There is a difference between buying something that you need, which happens to have gone on sale, or buying something because it's on sale. I've been there. I used to hit Oxford Street on Boxing Day and buy tons of clothes and other things that I previously had no intention of getting just because they were on sale. But you know what? Saving £50 on something that cost £200 that you weren't going to buy to begin with is actually spending £150 on something that you didn't need. So unsubscribe from all those store newsletters that you subscribe to save 10% on your first purchase so that you're not notified of sales, and instead spend your money intentionally on things that you actually need. If there was something you were going to buy anyway and it's gone on sale, that's amazing. Green light to go ahead. But if it's something you had no intention of buying before, think twice about whether you really need it. I personally don't have any streaming services. I've moved into my new house, my TV is installed in the little nook that I've made for it over there, and I haven't even switched it on in the 5 months that I've been here. The average person in the UK spends £700 a year on an average of 3 different streaming services. Remember when TV was free and you would just flick through the channels and watch whatever was on? Now you've been convinced that you need to pay to choose and sign up to all these different services because there isn't just one channel that has every big show that you want to watch. You've got one subscription for the kids, you've got another one for a series that you like, you've got a third one for another series that you have to watch. And let's face it, most of us never make it through a whole season of something anyway. You may be thinking, well, £700 a year doesn't sound like much, I can afford it, and it keeps me and my family entertained. I want you to flip this around, and instead of thinking of the price of your streaming services as relaxation and entertainment, think of sitting down watching TV every night and weekends as an opportunity cost of being able to do something else. The opportunity cost of real connection, of expanding your mind by reading, exercising, getting outside, or spending that time on creating something that's actually going to generate you a higher income, like working on a side hustle. When you live in a big city like London, there are so many fancy gyms and exercise classes to go to that sell you a lifestyle, when really the exercises that you're going to do there are the same ones that you're going to do at a regular gym. A lot of people fall into the trap of joining gyms like these because it's a wealth signifier, it's aspirational, it's because of the feeling that you're going to get when you walk into that space. This is a classic middle class trap. And while yes, it's definitely nice to have the fluffy towels and the sauna, is it really worth an extra £200 or more a month that this experience is going to cost you over doing the same workout at a normal to mid-price gym? I go to a local gym that costs me £60 a month, and it's not the cheapest one around, but it's really clean. It has all the equipment and classes that I need. That £220 plus a month that I'm saving versus going to the aspirational gym with all the fancy decor adds up to big gains over time. I can reinvest that money into paying down my mortgage or put it into the stock market and have it grow at 8% annually. Over 10 years, this one lifestyle swap alone can bag me an investment portfolio of £40,000. The last thing I'm going to de-influence you from buying is a bigger house than you actually need. When you apply for a mortgage, you will have saved up your deposit, and then the bank works out how much they're going to lend you based on a multiple of what you earn. Buying a house is one of the biggest decisions you will ever make in your life, but deciding how much you're going to spend on a house should not be dictated by the maximum amount that the banks are going to lend you. It should be determined by what you actually need in terms of space. It is so tempting to want to max out the mortgage that's available to you and get the biggest, best house you can afford in a nicer areas. But there are a few other things that you need to take into consideration as well as your monthly interest repayments. There are maintenance costs or monthly service charges for an apartment, insurance, renovations, furniture, stamp duty, conveyancing. These can add up to hundreds of thousands of pounds on top of the cost of the house that you're buying. When I bought my first property, the maximum house value that I could have bought up to was £550,000. But I chose instead to go for a flat that cost me £380,000 and ticked all the boxes of what I was looking for. That one decision ended up saving me hundreds of thousands of pounds over the 10 years that I owned the flat, not just in interest, but in all the other costs that I mentioned. The bigger your place, the more everything is going to cost you. Then there is the middle class habit of upgrading your house just because you can. After you've already spent way over the initial cost of your first house making it exactly what you want it to be, instead of thinking I can afford it, change your mindset to, do I really need it? Is this really going to increase my happiness, or am I doing it just to look good in front of other people? Keeping your costs down and not stretching to your absolute maximum then leaves you room in your budget to do more enjoyable things with your money, like taking that trip, instead of sinking every last pound that you have into your house. So there you have it, the 8 things that I absolutely will not spend money on. I hope I've successfully de-influenced you from spending money on at least a few of these things. Join me again next week for more life-changing advice to help you get on top of your finances. Ciao for now.